it has become a struggle for me trying to see things differently right now that I am lean, because you start to let go of certain ideologies or self-limiting beliefs to be able to ascend to the next level of life that is being presented to you. And there's a perspective change which I am actually going through right now, because I'm getting to realize that it's all about your appearance, it's all about the physical. It's all about the physical. That's the first line of judgment. People judge you first when they see you, your presentation, your package. It's all about it. And which is tough for me, who have been so much inclined with it's all about character, it's all about your personality. I'm not saying that it's not about that as well. But looks really matter in this particular context. Because when you ascend, when you leave the old life and step into a different identity, you start to understand that the world is actually kind of vain. That is why even in scriptures you hear uh, things like vanity. Everything is vanity. Everything is vanity. Because you are coming from a state of where you think it's all about the internal qualities of a man. That is what is appreciated in life or in your environment when you are interacting with people. And then you now step into a different dimension where you are now operating much more in a bodily form with your physique now. Yeah, operating on that level where your physique is pulling attention, pulling people's attention actually, but making people know that, pulling people and making them know that you are the subject matter. And it's weird and you get shocked because it's a new perspective, it's a new inclination. Now, when did looks become a thing in the first place? That these are the type of questions that will go through your head and you keep wondering, like, when did looks become a thing? And not realizing that it has always been a thing. Looks has always been a thing. It's just that we've been sold a lot of lies. And will I call that absolute lie? It's not an absolute lie, but a lie just to protect you from the realities of life itself, and which is not fair. I think every man should be able to see life for what it actually means. They should be able to see it and then decide whether to engage or not to engage with the matters of life. But when you are blinded from seeing what is actually before you, and you are operating on false beliefs, at some point there will be a clash. At some point there will be a clash. Because this looks thing is kind of weird to me, coming from a place of a very spiritual plane where I've always believed that everything has to do with the internal workings of a man, the internal mechanisms of a man, and not really the physical. But then you now realize when interacting with people, we are talking of, when you talk of the internal, it has to do so much with the spiritual qualities that a man has to be an embodiment of. And there are two different things, and which I like. I love the internal workings. I love divinity. I love the way God transforms a man from the inside out. But when you now interact with the people of the world, I'm not saying you're a child of the world, but when you operate with the people of the world, you now start to realize that people judge a book by its cover. They judge you first by your appearance, by your looks. And it becomes intriguing, especially if you have been that laid back kind of person who believes, or that certain type of person who believes so much in a man's qualities, in a man's personality, in a man's character, in a man's behavior. And then you realize that, wow, life is actually really vain. Everything is vanity, especially when you're interacting with the world. And it has always been one of those things that the struggle is endless. It's endless, but at the same time, you see the endless possibilities it could manifest if you lean towards it. Especially if you want to be successful in your interactions with men when interacting with them here on earth. And that's why, since practicing body game and seeing the impact it has on people, it has made me start to see things differently, but not abandon the spiritual inclination I have always been attached to from the onset. But it's much more of a deeper reflection and how I perceive the world, and having a much more deeper insight. I'm having a much more deeper insight into the way the world really operates, and not just so say, or just superficial thoughts about the way the world operates. But now I can now see deeper levels of operation the world can operate when it comes to manipulation and how it could manipulate people. And that's why it's tough. It's tough. And it's good you understand these things from the onset, and you start to understand that, oh, there's something like body game, there's something like being lean and aesthetic. Now once you get that, you see genuine lust, especially from women. You start to see a woman's primal genuine lust. You start to see it. So there is something like that. And it's no more like before, where you think that women are so cool, women are not. Women will sell you purity. Women will be like, they don't do evil and all. They don't, not saying they do evil, but they don't engage in immoral acts and all that. They are very chaste. They practice chastity. And not realizing that that is a delusion. That is actually an absolute delusion if you are staying in this other plane and not realizing that there is something like this that can trigger a woman's lust. And you start to wonder, what's the importance of, why is so much importance actually placed on someone's looks? Why? When it's supposed to be the internal mechanism, a man's character should be the defining factor of anything that he engages with. But it doesn't work like that in the real world. People see you first, people look at you, they see your looks, are you attractive or not, before they decide from there whether to interact with you or not in a split second, whether to favor you or not to favor you in a split second, whether to engage or not. And it's crazy. I'm just will I say transversing the landscape of looks, and it's something very interesting and something I feel I would lean towards as well, because I'm leaning towards it, I won't lie, because there are a lot of things, that qualities you see and you're like, wow, the attention you get, which is vain actually, but it's something for someone like me who has been starved of attention, or who has lost the word is someone who has not been recognized. I'm invisible. I'm not noticed in society. I'm just like a ghost. But when you now scale your physique and you start getting this attention from people, it blows your mind. And you start wondering, wow, so it's all about looks actually. And that paradigm shift starts to occur from the day you start getting attention from people, especially the opposite sex. Well, it's crazy. That's why I would always emphasize that always try, get lean. So you understand what I'm saying? Get lean and aesthetic. Build some muscle, add some muscle to your bone frame. Add some muscle to your frame. And voila, you will see what I see. And you experience what I experience. It's not a bad thing, it's not a terrible idea, but it gives you in-depth into why people are so into looks than character. And it's the world we live in. People are in looks. If you want to scale through, a good looking person will scale through than someone who is ugly. A good looking person would always land on their feet every single time. There will be endless possibilities for someone who is looking good and has that charm and charisma compared to someone who is ugly. They would. That's the reality we find ourselves in. So that's it, guys. It's just a quick observation and the way I see things now and how I want to approach them, because I buy the idea and which I'm practicing it actually. Because if I don't buy the idea, I won't even be practicing it. So it's something I'm practicing right now, and moving forward, I see it has a lot of beneficial rewards moving forward, personally as a man, opening doors and a lot of things. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you have to let go of your spiritual inclination with God. That doesn't mean you have to. It's just finding a balance and merging them and having the best of both worlds while living present on this earth. So that's it, guys. We'll see you in the next video and we have some more. Thank you so much. Bye.